Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
And I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devon.
And this week we are taking a break from the holidays to celebrate Spider-Man because there's a Spider-Man movie coming out this week. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse comes out this week. So we figured we'd take a break from the holidays and have Ryan watch a Spider-Man movie he's never seen.
Which is Spider-Man Homecoming.
Yes. I think they got that from the title.
Yes, I know, but still.
So
there's a lot of Spider-Man movies out there.
We've talked about Civil War, which
yes.
Tom Holland appeared in. We talked about Spider-Man 3, sadly. And Devon and I talked about Venom. But today we're going to talk about a really good Spider-Man movie. Maybe not the best.
It's going to be weird.
But a really good one. So Ryan had never seen it. Devon and I had both seen it. Now, did we both see it in theaters?
I think we did. I totally saw it in theaters.
Yeah. I remember it was my wife, me, and my brother went to see it at the theater locally with the recliners. So that's always nice. Like, I love that.
Oh, yeah, those are nice.
Do they have those out in where you live in Los Angeles?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, my local theater is the AMC in the City Walk of Universal. Like, that's the one literally closest to me, so they pull out all the stops on that one. So it's like the recliners, the bar service, all of it.
Yeah, I guess they do take their movies kind of seriously in LA, don't they?
A little bit.
Well, I mean, I was going to say, I mean, I think out in LA they probably had the recliners first prior to coming out here.
I know.
Okay. I'm just going as like
they can't be bothered to sit up during a movie they made.
Yeah,
exactly. We're two country bumpkins over here.
They don't go see the movies they make. They just the people going to the movies are not the people who work on movies in LA. Like,
I don't know. There's a theater by me. It's where the people who make the movies see the movies, and like that's its big moniker. I'm like, no, they don't.
That's
Stop
a
it.
shtick. Like that's not true at all.
Yeah, like stop it, Burbank.
Okay, so I don't know where to start with this. So Devon, you want to take the point on this?
Yeah. So you said not the best Spider-Man movie? What?
Okay. We can get right into that. I am still adamant that Spider-Man 2 is the best Spider-Man movie, if not the best superhero movie.
Maybe it's because I haven't seen it in a long time, but like, why? Not like in a mean way, but like,
for me, like, Spider-Man 2 came out at a time where that was the first movie I clung on to where I could identify with the main character. So I really identified with Peter Parker in that. And then you have Doc Ock's arc in that movie where he's trying to do this great thing, but then is corrupted by the chip in his neck. And so he's not really in control of his actions. And then he has that redemption arc at the end.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those movies that came out at the right time that I just really
it's like had a
clung
special place.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the trailers for that at like the drive-in. I think you were there. Like I remember us standing like right outside of the projection booth and just seeing that trailer pop up, like early summer 2014, and it's like, oh my god, this is gonna be amazing. Or 2004, whatever. God, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was 2004. I think you're right.
Yeah, 2004. So
yeah.
I still think Spider-Man 2 is one of the best superhero movies of all time because just the action, Spider-Man versus Doc Ock, that train fight is just fantastic. And
I mean, it is iconic.
Yeah, and I think there's a reason they pulled a lot of those moments from Spider-Man 2 into the Spider-Verse trailer, like just to get people in. Like there's the one scene that they pull from Spider-Man 1 is the kiss, but there's so many other iconic visuals of Spider-Man, like stopping the train and then throwing her out of the way of the car. Like there's a lot of things there that historically for comic book movies, like it's one of the go-tos, like number one on a lot of lists. And it's number one on my list.
Sure.
But Homecoming makes the top 5 for sure.
Okay. What about you, Ryan?
Well, okay. So after seeing this for the first time, which thank you for having it on Blu-ray, Alan.
Yes.
Because that made it that much better. This is my number 2 Spider-Man film.
Also, Spider-Man 2 is number 1?
This is where I'm going to have a little bit of fun. I love Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2.
Okay.
Just because, so I went to high school in between the 1999 and 2000 school year to start, and then ended at the 2004 school year. So Spider-Man 1 and 2 was when I was in high school. And so with the whole superhero movie genre and everything just starting, the more modern course of these movies, like those were the first two big ones. And so that was like my high school and college, like those were my two superhero movies up until like Iron Man came out. So those two films to me hold the number one spot for Spider-Man movies, because I really feel that the storyline between 1 and 2 is continuous. Yeah, and so that's why I say both of them are my number one. So it's not just Spider-Man 2, it's 1 and 2 that are my number one. But Spider-Man Homecoming is like grasping at the neck of both of them. Yeah. To be perfectly honest, because to me, Homecoming, they and I'm pretty sure that we'll probably get into it, but the visuals of Homecoming and the personality, like I'm watching it going, this is the Spider-Man cartoon I watched when I was in middle school. Right. Like, this is a live action version of the Spider-Man cartoon from the 90s to me. Just with the colors and the visuals and everything else. Like that, like it got me to when I was even younger. And it was great. I loved it. I wasn't expecting it to be that good, to be honest. Yeah, I've been trying to get you to watch this for a few years. Well, it came out last year. I've been trying to get you to watch this for a year now. I can't believe this movie came out last year. Like it feels like much longer ago.
Well, especially because so much happened in the MCU.
Out, like so many movies in such a short period of time. That's why.
Devon, how about you? Right. What is your favorite Spider-Man movie?
I mean, I don't want to be like weird and cult of the new, but this one, I mean, for kind of a lot of reasons. And I mean, maybe because I have to go back and rewatch the Tobey Maguire ones, but like, I don't know. And I want to get into this a little bit later too, once we start talking about big things, but I think Tom Holland might be my favorite Spider-Man / Peter Parker.
I won't disagree with you there. He's definitely the best blend of the two.
Yes, and I think that's what I like the most about it. I mean, we're talking about it now, so let's just get into it. I mean, so I think my favorite Spider-Man was Andrew Garfield, and my favorite Tobey Maguire was, favorite Peter Parker was Tobey Maguire. I mean, and I don't think that's really controversial, but I think that Tom Holland plays them both well. Yeah, and I think he does a better job of that.
Yeah. Do we want to talk about Andrew Garfield a little bit before we get into Tom Holland?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Devon or Ryan, have you seen the?
Yeah, I have.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like the first one a lot more than the second Garfield one, like the Amazing Spider-Man 1 with the lizard.
Yeah.
Like that one's a lot better than 2. 2 just seems like 2's a mess, but he was good in those. Like I hate that they had to reboot it and lose him. It seems like he may be able to come back in Spider-Verse in the future.
Oh, that might be cool though.
Because I guess they're trying to almost got Tobey Maguire for this one.
Really?
Yeah. But it might happen in the future that they get both of them, which would be really cool. Like just, if you're going to just go in with all the Peter Parkers, just go in with all the Peter Parkers. Hell, even get the one from the 90s cartoon. The hell with it. Why not? In a world where Nicolas Cage is playing Spider-Man Noir, why not? Like, that's just.
I love that.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough on Andrew Garfield.
Yep. That was about it.
They're almost forgettable. So there's a reason that we have Tom Holland, and like they had to reboot because it just was a mess. So
well, that, and I don't think you could have gone from the Spider-Man 2 that they had and go into Civil War introducing that Spider-Man.
I mean, Kevin Feige, from my understanding of it, was give us creative control of Spider-Man. You'll get the money, but let us do our thing with the character. And I think that's what's really I think that's the strongest thing Homecoming had going for it.
Yeah,
was Marvel Studios having a say in the creative side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you got a really great screenplay, good direction, and then but Kevin Feige like bringing everything together and knowing how these pieces fit in the whole MCU.
And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
When it came to the other two, and I really think the reason why they are kind that, because to be perfectly honest, I forgot about those two movies until we just started talking about them.
Oh
and
no.
I think the reason why they are is because Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 came out in the early millennium. They were kind of the kickstart to, this whole superhero genre that we have today. And then those came out like right in like the what phase 2 of Marvel or phase 3?
Was it phase 2?
Like the Garfield ones, like they came out like phase
They came
2?
out Amazing Spider-Man came out the same summer as Avengers.
Okay.
So right at the tail end of phase 1.
Okay. So,
Wow.
so at that point, and to bring in Spider-Man like they did in Civil War, it just I just feel that at that point it was like, oh cool, a Spider-Man movie, but Avengers. Like it got completely overshadowed.
And from listening to the screenplay, the screenwriters for Civil War talking about it, like just one day they were in their office and Kevin Feige popped their head in saying, "Hey, we have Spider-Man, Adam." So it was just kind of like, okay, we got to put Spider-Man in this because they had two plans. One was to bring in Spider-Man, but if they didn't, it was going to be Tony Stark recruiting Ant-Man, and going and finding Scott Lang. So either way, it's a insect-inspired superhero coming in to save the day. We've talked about Civil War on here before. I think Civil War is a really good way to introduce Spider-Man because what's great about this Spider-Man is you don't get the actual origin story.
Which
like,
we don't
and I don't think it needs it
at this point.
No.
It's like you don't need the Batman origin story. Like they're like superheroes like Doctor Strange. I'm fine with getting an origin story because it's not really that well known. But everyone knows that Superman came down in a spaceship and landed in Kansas. Batman's parents died in an alley. Spider-Man's uncle got killed.
Great.
And like that. Those like you don't need to see those origin stories, but DC doesn't understand that, so we keep getting those origins. And but Marvel was like, hey, you know what? Kevin Feige was like, you know what? No origin. Let's just let's not even say the line. Let's just hint around. With great power comes great responsibility.
Which I did a good job with that in this movie because to be honest, I was waiting for that line to come up just because it is Spider-Man, and they did skip over like him getting bit and him discovering his powers. Like they skipped over all of that. Uncle Ben dying and everything. So I was expecting them to bring something forward, maybe like the line, but like I was watching it and I'm thinking the entire underlining story. Every story has a meaning behind it. Regardless if it's fiction, nonfiction, silly, doesn't matter what the genre is. There's a meaning behind everything. And the meaning behind the storyline of Homecoming is with great power becomes great responsibility. Like, it's absolutely right. Said because I
think in a way it is said. I think instead of the line itself, it's if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve it.
I loved that line, by the way, because you can tell, I mean, not only was it the thesis of the movie, but it was also something that that Iron Man as a character went through in the third one, or in the third Iron Man. So, that line had a lot of weight behind it, and it was such a good line.
That line...
Even with the line, though, that's one of the reasons why I said, like, I was saying that the line, like, the classic line never came up, and the reason is the entire movie... including that line, is basically like the description you find in the dictionary. Like if you were to look up a Marvel dictionary and look up, what does, this saying mean, you'll find Spider-Man Homecoming. Like that's pretty much that's pretty much what this is.
So we're all on board with Tom Holland.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure we're all on board with Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man.
No, absolutely.
I mean, we're 10 years in at this point. It's a little too late to say something now. How do we feel about Michael Keaton as the Vulture?
Super favorable.
Was not somehow, some way. I did not know that Michael Keaton was in this movie.
Really?
I don't know how I missed that.
I'm so impressed.
I really don't know how I missed that.
It's in the trailer.
I don't know how I missed it because here. Okay. So here's the thing. The opening scene. They cut to them right after Avengers. They're cleaning up the mess in the train station. I'm not recognizing him. He's talking to his people. He punches the guy in the face. I still don't recognize him.
Wait,
they get back to their like company warehouse or whatever. And it's not until that moment I'm like, is that Michael Keaton? And then and then it cuts, okay? And then it cuts. And then you go through the storyline and they show him again. I'm like, that's fucking Michael Keaton. That's Michael Keaton.
Okay. So
how did I not know this?
Not only did you not know Michael Keaton was in this movie, you didn't realize it until 10 minutes into the fucking movie. That is fantastic.
It was the best. It was the best surprise I have had in a Marvel film.
No, surprise Michael Keaton is the best Michael Keaton.
Oh, absolutely.
Like on 30 Rock, he just shows up the one time playing a janitor, like, and he like trying to fix a gas leak.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell is Michael Keaton doing here? And then you remember that he was in Beetlejuice with Alec Baldwin, because Alec Baldwin's the young guy in Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
And it's like, oh yeah, that's right. They worked together before.
Yeah.
But surprise Michael Keaton is the best Michael Keaton.
But it's okay. So, and I watched the movie twice.
Yeah.
And the second time through, I was watching it going, why didn't I recognize him? Why didn't I recognize him? His accent, he threw on a New York accent in the first scene that was really thick that he really didn't use throughout the rest of the movie. So one, there's that. I didn't recognize his voice. And then two, I've never seen him with a baseball cap on.
What? That's it?
I've never seen him with a baseball cap on, and he's older. Okay, I haven't seen an updated picture of him in years. So I didn't realize it was him because he's older. One, because I mean, here's the thing. Okay, my favorite Batman movie is the original Michael Keaton, like Tim Burton Batman movie.
Yeah.
So whenever I think of Michael Keaton, I think of young Michael Keaton. That's what I think of.
Not older guy Michael Keaton.
So I haven't seen a picture of him in like online. Like I haven't seen like a paparazzi picture of him in years. So like the last thing you saw
him in was like Multiplicity, back when he had like curly hair.
Yes.
Okay.
Wow.
Like I haven't seen a photo of him like updated for his age in years.
So you haven't seen Birdman?
We're not talking Harvey Birdman, attorney at law.
No.
Okay.
No.
Birdman.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Birdman's a good one. So we'll have to add that to the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no! I saw the trailers for that McDonald's movie. Yeah. I do remember that trailer, but it like I was like, oh, cool, that's Michael Keaton, but like he looked like Michael Keaton.
And they tell you Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wasn't wearing a McDonald's cap.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, seriously, like, I wasn't looking at who it was because here's the thing: the first time through the film, I didn't really realize that he was going to be a character, so I really didn't pay that close attention to him.
You know, the internet's trying to get Michael Keaton to star in a Batman Beyond movie.
They need to do that.
I can't wait for that to happen.
Yes.
Where he just tells the young Batman movie, the young Batman. You actually don't need a costume. You just need a baseball cap, and no one will recognize you.
I feel like Ryan's the kind of guy Superman makes disguises for.
No, you stop that because that's the worst goddamn disguise of any superhero ever is Superman. Oh my god. Because I did it. It was more though the accent. Than anything else.
And I wouldn't even say it's a New York accent. I'd say it's a New York construction worker accent because the rest of the time...
To me, that's a New York construction worker accent.
Yeah. Like that's what you'd hear catcalling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I really like Vulture in this movie.
Oh, no, he's great.
Oh, I love Vulture.
Vulture's amazing.
The Vulture is the start of Marvel's really good villains.
Yeah.
Like, before this, you had Ego and Guardians 2, and it's like, meh. But
it's all right.
Vulture, and then on to Black Panther, and then Thanos.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's just started a great run of great villains.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to see what they do in the future. But
I loved
Yeah.
Thanos is my favorite villain at the moment, and not because of the gauntlet, not because it's strong, but because of his character arc.
Sure.
And I love Vulture because of the same thing. Like I love the fact that he got screwed. Like he literally got screwed.
Yeah.
And so he did what he had to do that he thought to, like provide for his family. And for like 8 years, he was doing low level stuff that flew under the radar.
I'm glad you said that. The timeline's wrong. It is not
wrong.
It's not 8 years. When I first saw this movie, I was like, when it said 8 years later, I automatically was like, no, it's not. That's not right at all. Because this movie takes place right after Civil War, which took place in 2017. Or no, 2016. I think this movie takes place
off of the storyline timeline.
No,
this movie release timeline.
This is the official timeline that they just released. Because I knew it was an error then, because I knew that the timeline's a little bit off from real time, but I was like, it's still not 8 years, because Battle of New York was 2012, so this movie takes place in 2017.
Yeah,
and Infinity War is 2018, I think. So the timeline's off. Like 8 years is not right. I don't know.
They mean like months or something?
No, it's because he says it later. He's like, I've been doing this for 8 years, and the FBI hasn't been bugging me at all. But now the Spider Kid comes along, and but no, like the timeline automatically that I was like, no, that's not right. Like, what the hell, Sony?
Yeah.
Like, how did no one catch that? Like, I think it's just because he has that line later on that it's.
You're talking about Sony, remember?
Yeah. Like, I was like, okay. I mean, I think they're just kind of ignoring it. Like, that's not right.
Sure.
Like, that's not the timeline.
Yeah.
But it's still like the big continuity error. Like,
right.
in a franchise that's known for continuity, except for War Machine looking different between movies.
Oh yeah. Whoops.
Rhodey, that's the name.
Rhodey.
I almost said Bucky. I don't know why. It's Rhodey. Yeah. So that bugged me.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I didn't notice that.
Good catch.
I think I said something to my wife in the theater. Yeah. She's telling me nobody cares.
Oh, but
Nobody cares.
People care.
I care. I care a lot.
Yeah.
Continuity.
So back to your point on the on like the best bad guy. First off, I think it had.
Oh no, we lost him.
You froze.
Am I back?
There, you're back.
Yay! So I think it almost had to have been a reaction to people saying that Marvel's bad guys got worse, because I feel like up until that point they kind of peaked at Loki and then just like got bad for a while, and then I feel like Marvel was like, yeah, we need to make our bad guys better.
Yeah,
because a lot of the villains became one-dimensional. Like it was just, I'm going to be bad to be bad, and that was it. Or their their reasoning for being bad was just too simple, like wanting more power.
Right.
Like it wasn't. There wasn't any substance. Like I love the fact that Thanos wants to do what he wants to do to save the universe because of overpopulation. Like that's something you can debate about for like hours. And then you've got this guy who's just trying to provide for his family. He's a normal, like blue collar working class guy who just wants to make sure that his wife and his daughter can like live a good life.
Yeah.
He just goes south.
Yeah. And then you have like Ego, who's like, I'm a planet. And you know what? I want all the planets. Like that's like, okay, I guess. Like, okay, Kurt Russell. Like
right. Whatever you want, I guess.
Yeah, like
but I love go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I just love when bad guys aren't like, my goal to kill Spider-Man. Like, I think that's a little bit overplayed. And I love that Spider-Man was just annoying to him. Like, he had all of this stuff to do. And you can tell there's all this stuff going on behind the scenes that, like, Spider-Man just messing up. And I liked that. Like, I liked that he wasn't his main focus.
Yeah. Now, one thing that you just touched on that I can kind of get the flow of how we're doing this. That was one of the things in the movie that actually irritated me. Until like I was almost done watching the movie. Like I hated the fact that Spider-Man kept on screwing things up because it was getting annoying. I was like,
really?
Great. You got this kid, like because to me Spider-Man, granted, he's a kid, he's immature, but he's not dumb.
Yeah.
And he was doing dumb things. But then it dawned on me, which I think it was at the start of the ferry scene. And I was like, hang on a second. He's learning.
Yeah.
Like, that's when it dawned on me. Like,
yeah.
And that's when it dawned on me, like, oh, okay. Now I totally get this. Like, this, this movie makes sense. And then at that point, I started to actually enjoy it for Spider-Man's growth instead of just wanting, like, because I liked one of the reasons why I like the Tobey Maguire one so much, the 1 and 2, is because even though he just discovers his powers, like, he has a few awkward moments, but he's really intelligent and wise as a character to really grasp onto his like few mistakes and then become an adult about it.
Yeah.
This shows what an actual 15-year-old would actually do.
Yeah.
That's
what I really liked about Homecoming is that, they're being realistic about Peter's growth.
It's really a high school movie. When you get down to it, because it's him learning to be mature with these powers. Like, the whole time he's like, oh yeah, I'm kind of an Avenger. Like, my whole plan is I'm going to go, they're moving upstate. I'm going to go with them. I don't need high school. And then by the end of it, he's like, you know what? No, I want to be in high school. Like, that's where I need to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to be an Avenger. And Tony's like, what the hell?
Right. Well, I like that. And I like that arc that he went through for that.
If Tony's
really
line,
smart.
He actually did something that was really mature, really good, really mature, totally unexpected. Totally unexpected.
Right.
Which, oh my God, that Iron Spider suit.
Oh, I love it.
I've already told you before, like, my favorite Spider-Man like outfit, like my favorite Spider-Man version of Spider-Man is Iron Spider.
Yeah.
Like, I love the Iron Man spider suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little tidbit about the podcast. We actually did an episode on Infinity War because Ryan had not seen that.
Yeah.
But we lost it. So, and I think we're going to talk about it a little bit in one of our year of enders coming up because I want to talk about it a little bit. So
good. I'm excited.
We did do a whole podcast on that and lost it. So that's fun.
I think I spent about 5 minutes just basically like going off on the Iron Spider suit because like I never saw, like, I had no idea that Spider-Man got like a suit that was made by Iron Man until I was reading the Civil War comics, which I don't know if that's the first time it made the appearance or not.
It's one of the first times.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was the first time it was made by Iron Man.
Okay.
I don't know for sure though.
Yeah, so like I saw that and I was like, oh, this is cool because finally Spider-Man can actually kind of do like the whole like 8-leg thing, which can help him out. Like he can have like the extender legs come out and he can take care of stuff with his hands without having to worry about what angle he's trying to stand at. Like it's great. Which I really like though, that his normal suit, not the sweatpant suit thing for gym class, but the actual like Spider-Man like uni thing was made by Stark. I loved that, and the fact that it had all of those neat things on it. Yeah, to me it made it more realistic. I don't know.
Well, that's kind of what that's what I hated about the Andrew Garfield movies. Yeah, is I was like, okay, I believe that in his room, unbeknownst to his aunt who lives next, like right downstairs, he just made all of this. Really?
Yeah, I mean, the first Andrew Garfield movie, like the suit kind of looks like it's just Under Armour with some cool eyepieces.
Yeah,
but the second one is just like, no, we're just gonna copy and paste from the comic book and not give it any explanation for it.
Right, and like, I mean, sure he has spider powers, but I don't believe that like this teenage boy can sew really well.
Yeah,
like,
even the Tobey Maguire ones is always kind of a stretch for the costume, but you got to see his makeshift wrestling costume.
Yeah, it was fun.
Which another thing I like about this is the fact that he has to switch out his webbing.
Yeah,
because that was something from the cartoon that I loved. That it was just one more thing to throw like a weakness at him, just to make it a little bit less like invincible.
Yeah,
to a point. And to be honest, like I'm kind of a gun guy. And I like it in action movies when they, reload, because it's like, okay, click, click, let's go. Like it's one of those,
we're ready.
Get ready thing. So I mean, like, he's on the ferry and he flips out the like empty like CO container things off of his ribs off of his wrists, and you get that sound, that like sound, like on it,
and it's satisfying.
It was one of those things that's like, oh, cool, awesome, yes, he's ready to go again. Like,
how did we feel about the spider gadgets in this movie though? Because they're not in a lot of the other ones.
I mean, personally, I think it's good for this movie, but because it helped him. Like, a lot of the movie is just him relying on the suit, and I think by the end of the movie he realizes he shouldn't rely on the suit as much, and I don't know if he gets all those gadgets back when he gets the suit back.
I hope he did.
I think it's a slippery slope if they rely on it too much. Like the drone coming out of his chest, I didn't really like. There was not much of a point to that.
Sure.
I am on the other end of that fence.
Okay.
Because I love the drone. Because the reason why the suit was made by Tony Stark, for one.
Right.
So of course, being who he is, building the Iron Man suits and building all the suits that he did, even like a fabric type suit, is going to have a few gadgets in it. And I feel like taking his interface, taking that Karen out of the suit lady, taking her out of the whole taking her out of the scenario. I really liked having the drone because it helped him kind of get a feel for his surroundings a little bit more, because they never brought up Spidey sense in this. As far as I'm concerned.
No, they didn't.
They never brought up spider
sense.
That's
because he doesn't have it yet.
Which is
really? But you have seen him use it. Maybe twice.
In this movie.
Not in this movie.
Infinity War, right?
Infinity War.
Yeah, when he's on the bus and the hairs on his arm stand up and he turns around and sees the spaceship. That's spider sense kicking in.
Okay.
And then at
the end, right?
And then if you believe the internet at the end when Mr. Stark, I don't feel too good.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Infinity War.
Sorry about that, guys.
But okay, so
because he's still learning, he's still adapting to all his powers,
right?
But the fact that he doesn't have it, though, I like the fact that they incorporated the drone, and the fact that so they don't show the drone until after he's in the hotel room with his friend, debugging the suit, and you find out that this thing can do all these different things and taking off the training wheels protocol, which I loved the jokes on that. I absolutely loved that.
The baby monitor protocol is my favorite.
Yeah. So finding out that the suit can do so many things, and the fact that the eyes move, that was another thing that I absolutely loved about this.
I
love
the fact
that the eyes moved and everything.
That's actually one of my favorite moments of the movie is when he's swinging through the yards and crash lands into that tent, and he just looks up at the little guy, like, hey kids, and his eyes are just spazzing out. That's one of my favorite gags with the suit.
So I absolutely love the fact that the little spider on his chest actually does something because of all these different gadgets. And to me, the drone is the highlight of the suit. And the fact that it has its own kind of personality, because it's got the little squeaks and beeps and everything because he talks to it. It's kind of like a little R2, like a little flying R2.
Well, I think the gadgets also serve to help the plot of the movie. Cause they tell you his limitations in the movie. When he's standing on top of the Washington Monument, she's like, "A fall from this height's going to kill you. You'll die, because you don't have your gadget, the spider parachute or whatever was gone." Yeah. And then at the end, when he just has his normal tracksuit kind of thing, oh, this is just a dude. If he falls from pretty high, he won't be okay. And I think that helps to serve the plot and the end. I think the gadgets are really important.
Yeah, I think they are important. I just don't want it to be something that they have to rely on for Spider-Man.
No, I agree with that, though.
True, but I don't think they're going to. Mainly because they talk about... They have that scene where he's trapped, which my favorite, and he's going through all of the different, web, scenarios and, and everything else. I feel like when we see him again, he's going to have like more control over the suit. And instead of like them going to like a camera angle where it's like through the lenses and showing all the things like moving around and rotating, I feel like it's going to be more of like him saying, you know, for certain situations, like, hey, I need the like taser web, or you know, like
I don't even think he needs to say
like
it because I've played enough Spider-Man video games to know that you can just throw that shit.
You can just do it.
Yeah, it just happens.
So
he knows how to do it.
I mean, I really, really, really doubt we'll see instant kill, which I love the red eyes.
I mean,
I absolutely love it. He's like, instant kill. No instant kill.
I think if you get him going, like if Ultron returns, like and it's just an army of robots, insta kill needs to come back.
Oh, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
And that one, yes, because I would love to see how that works. I wonder if it's like laser death eyes or what.
But I'm glad he didn't use insta kill against Michael Keaton.
Oh yeah,
you can't kill Michael Keaton.
All it would have been left was just his baseball cap.
Stop it! For crying out loud.
Okay, so one thing this movie introduces is his new best friend, Ned. What do you guys think of Ned?
I love Ned. I just
do we think Ned's his real name, or do you think this is like a fake out like Michelle was in this? Do you think Ned's like real name's like Harry?
I don't know. That's a really good question. What if it is?
I actually no. I think Ned is somebody in the comic books, but I think he was minor and they just
porn. That's my response to Ned.
Oh, I like Ned.
Do you not like Ned?
I'm not a fan of Ned. He's annoying.
Oh my god.
Oh,
okay,
I would
so you're
Ned.
Oh no. You're telling me that if you found out I was Spider-Man and like you would not be bugging me with all the different questions like how'd you get your powers?
Okay. There's a difference between a 14, 15-year-old bugging their friend with questions and a moron who is like, he knows Spider-Man. Like just there were things that he did. There were things that he did that I wanted to reach the screen and punch him in the face.
I mean, that's the whole thing with like watching it this time. I'm like, dude, like obviously it happens calling the FBI. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, don't do this stuff. But like, so they're both like kind of like young and naive.
We'll see. The only time that I actually really, really started to like the times when I went, so the one time in the time in the film when I went from like really finding the character annoying and just kind of trying to just bear with it to being like, okay, I can roll with this because of who he is when they're in the hotel room debugging the suit.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like the voice of reason. At that point and onward, his character changed from me. He went from being like super annoying, constant questions, like asking to do stupid things, like, oh man, can I tell people you're Spider-Man? Like, no, man, no, of course not. Like that's like that's what I kind of found annoying. Like, I'm pretty sure he's meant to be that way because they're in high school and they're kind of like on the nerdy end of the spectrum. So like social skills, like I get it, but I just I can't take them. I can't take.
Well, you got to remember, like the whole like, not that I'm defending that question of can I tell people you're Spider-Man?
Yeah.
But this is a world where Tony Stark flat out said to a press conference, "I am Iron Man." So I don't know how well the secret identity thing holds up in the MCU. Yeah, because the Sokovia Accords are actually a thing now too.
Well, true, but at the same time, if you did, so let's say like I was the Ned, like supposed to be like the Ned person and you're like the Peter person. You tell me not to tell anybody, I'm going to bug the shit out of you to ask you what you can do, but I'm not going to be asking you in the middle of like chem.
Yeah.
Or, like normal, voice, level during lunch. Like, I'm not going to be doing that type of stuff. Yeah. Like,
I mean, it's more for comedic value in the movie.
It is.
So.
I just wish there was a different comedic value in the film.
So, just getting deep here for a second. Do superheroes exist in the MCU, like in comic books? Like,
that depends.
Because
that's a really good question.
Here's the thing. Like, in the Walking Dead universe, there is no zombie lore.
Right.
So
and they all have to discover these things fresh.
Yeah. So are there superheroes in comic books in the MCU that aren't real? Like, does DC exist?
I got it.
Do they mention kryptonite at all? I know in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, she's like, "You're not Superman, you know."
Oh yeah.
In the Marvel universe, DC exists as a comic book. This is what I like to believe. DC exists in Marvel as a comic book.
Okay.
Marvel exists in DC as a comic book.
As a better franchise?
Of course. There we go. As a better franchise. But
I say 1 week before
there's
Aquaman
a part of me that likes to think that even though I say that like DC exists in like the Marvel universe as just what it normally is, just like comics and cartoons and stuff, I would personally would really like confirmation that the Watchmen are the comic book characters of the Marvel universe.
Oh boy, that's a dark universe then. It's
but
dark
think about
fiction.
it. Of all of the crap that actually happens in that universe, cities drop, people die, you've got all these things. Dr. Manhattan and all the other characters from Watchmen would kind of fit the world that they live in for actual comic book superheroes to be mainstream.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I know in the show Smallville, there's a whole arc, sub arc where there's a comic book called, I think it's Dark Angel or something like that.
Yeah.
Where it's pretty much Superman and Lex Luthor, where like they're best friends, and then the one turns and he's the main villain. And there's this whole subplot about the comic book, because I think at one point they filmed the movie for this comic in Smallville. So like I would really like to know like what the comic book lore, like are there comic book shops in these universes?
I feel like they have to be.
Yeah, I mean to be honest, it's an art form, and it's a pretty like it's an art form that goes back thousands of years in one form or another. Because I mean, it's pictures and words.
Yeah.
Like it's pictures and words.
I think there's even theories about like the last two Batman movies of the 90s being comic book movies based on the Tim Burton universe Batman, because like that's why they're so different. And if you look at the graphic novel adaptation of Batman and Robin, it's straight up just a movie set. Like it opens on them calling action, and then the last one is like Joel Schumacher calling cut.
I love that.
I'll send you pictures. I don't know why I own this, but I do.
I'm so happy you do. That's fantastic.
That actually makes me like those movies better.
Yeah.
To be honest, if that's what the idea behind it is, that makes those movies to me better.
I found out today my wife has never seen Batman and Robin.
What?
Yeah.
What are you doing? What do you watch?
I don't know. But I own it on Blu-ray, so it's going to happen one of these days. For those of you listening, if you couldn't hear that, my wife just said Michael Keaton is my Batman. And to that I say, but what about Val Kilmer?
Aww.
Oh, that's not appropriate for the podcast.
All she did was do the Ross.
Aww.
Is that the Ross? Don't call it the Ross.
Monica Ross, whatever.
The Monica Ross, whatever.
They both did it. Yeah, they all did it. They all did it. So, I mean...
Okay, yeah. So what do we think of the Michelle MJ twist?
I liked it. Yeah, I like it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was a little bit refreshing, and I like the fact that they had her there, because they almost had to address her.
Yeah, I really liked her character. I could have done without the MJ twist, but...
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to throw MJ in, why not do it that way, honestly?
Yeah. I think my favorite twist of this whole movie, though, is the reveal that Michael Keaton is Liz's dad.
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
because I wasn't expecting that. And okay, so I was watching this movie on my Xbox.
Yeah.
So my wife was doing her thing, so I was I was watching the movie and listening to it on my gaming headphones. So I'm watching the movie, and that happened, and she came around the corner because she thought I was choking, because I gasped when he opened up the door to his Michael Keaton. I was like, oh! Yeah. And she came around the corner going, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine. It's her dad. It's her dad." Like, I was not expecting that at all.
that made my jaw hit the floor so hard in the theater.
Absolutely.
Like it just bounced off the recliner, and back up. But like that reveal was amazing because you have the music playing, and then all of a sudden the door opens and the music stops, and you just see his face. He's like, oh shit. And then like the next 10 minutes are just super tense. Like that car ride is one of my favorite scenes in all of the MCU, if not every superhero movie I've ever seen. That scene, I agree, and he's so not even intense. In costume. There's no costumes. It's just he knows who Michael Keaton is, and you just see Michael Keaton slowly figure out that this kid's Spider-Man. Like my daughter is dating my enemy.
But this is what makes me like Vulture so much and like this movie so much because he did save his daughter's life.
Yeah,
and he knows that. Yeah, and this is why I like the character. He's like, look. You saved her life. I just saved yours. You have a choice. You don't get involved. I leave you alone. He didn't say, stop doing your Spider-Man thing. He didn't tell him that he was going to come after him. He was just telling him, stay out of my business.
Yeah.
You can do your thing, whatever. Just stay away from me. And that's what I really liked about that. Well,
I mean, that's what I like about Spider-Man in general is that like part of the tension of Spider-Man isn't, oh, I fought this villain, it's secretly this other villain. It's his real life. And his real life messes with Spider-Man, and they always interact with each other. And that's what I love that this movie did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like the one thing about Spider-Man is he's never trying to just defeat the bad guy. He's trying to save them. Like that's the one thing I like about like Spider-Man 2. Like he's trying to save Doc Ock. I think even in the first Spider-Man, he's trying to save the Green Goblin. And the Green Goblin dies because he's protecting himself. Like,
exactly.
That's not like he died of his own blade. I cleaned his wounds. And then like even in Spider-Man 3, like as much as there's an issue, I have issues with that movie. He's trying to save Eddie Brock from Venom, but Eddie Brock dooms himself.
Right.
And I'm not even addressing Sandman. And I think that's part of the thing you were missing from the Amazing Spider-Mans. Like, I didn't really buy that he was trying to save the bad guys. Like maybe Dr.
Agreed.
Connors a little bit, but when it came to like Harry Osborn and Electro, it's like,
and
he straight up refuses to help Harry.
And and to me, that's what shows his youth.
Yeah,
is the fact that he hasn't jaded him. Like age hasn't jaded him yet. So anybody who is his villain they need to be saved. It's not they need to be stopped so I can save other people. It's I need to save them before they do something to hurt themselves.
Yeah.
Like it's still that there's that like youth mindset of trying to just help as many people as he could. And that's one of the reasons why like the whole thing like Into the Spider-Verse, like I had no idea, like I knew that there was a Gwen Spider, like Gwen Spider.
Spider-Gwen.
Yeah.
Like,
Gwen Spider.
That's something. That's 2 words.
And I knew that there were other like younger versions of Spider-Man. I didn't know that there was an adult version of Spider-Man.
Peter Parker?
No. Well,
or you're talking about Spider-Man Noir?
Yes. Like I didn't realize that there was like an adult version because to me, Spider-Man, even though the name is Spider-Man, the oldest that I can picture Spider-Man being like the kind of like smart mouth like Spider-Man that we know of is maybe like 23.
Yeah.
At his oldest.
That's fair.
Because I mean like after that, Spider-Man just turns into like a working class version of Tony Stark.
Yeah, I mean, I know you talked about the 90s cartoon a little bit. Like he's in college there.
Yeah.
And I know in the comics he gets married to MJ.
Yeah.
But even then, that's like late 20s, 30s.
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
Yeah. He only lives to be like 40 something in the comics, maybe like early 40s. Like isn't. Oh, sorry. Spoilers for comic fans, I guess.
People don't die in comics. They just die for a little bit and then come back.
That's a good point, though.
Yeah. if you're gonna drop bombs like that, you need the microphone.
Okay, so
it's gonna be so much fun to edit.
Okay, so
I love it.
You've got, but yeah, no, because to me, like, there's something that even when Spider-Man, like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, even though once he's matured and learned from his mistakes, he still makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's youthful mistakes. It's mistakes because he hasn't been doing it, for like 10, 15, 20 years. It's because he's only been doing it for 3, 4, or 6. And to me, like, Spider-Man's always supposed to be in that realm of like high school, college, just out of college, still trying to find out who Peter's trying to still find out who he is as a person on top of dealing with who he is as Spider-Man. Once he figures out who he is and he figures out who Spider-Man is, I feel like the aura of Spider-Man disappears.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think there's always going to be that identity crisis.
Yeah, there has to be.
Because if the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man's kept going, like, you have like the biggest issue I had with Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, was Gwen dies, and then he just stops being Spider-Man for a year until one day, and then he just comes back. And it makes no sense.
Like
There was like, I'm just going to sit in my room and be sad for a whole year.
Yeah.
Like, that's not Spider-Man. Like, Spider-Man, like, you can take time to be sad and stuff, but you don't just stop being Spider-Man because of that. And if you're going to, just show it a little bit better than that. Like, when Tobey Maguire stopped being Spider-Man, it was like, I can't do this anymore because I can't live both lives.
Yeah.
Like, it was more justified than I couldn't say my girlfriend. I'm just gonna be sad. Like, there was
when you saw it hit him.
Yeah. But if that had kept going, like, it would have been better to see him dealing with life without his girlfriend. Like, he lost her. Like, he has to deal with that. He has to live with that. Like, but instead there's like, we're not gonna show any of that and just, oh yeah, he's Spider-Man now. Here's Paul Giamatti in a rhino suit.
Okay. So this is purely like the thinking, just my mind racing. What if Sony could have incorporated Spider-Gwen? Is that the official term?
Spider-Gwen, yeah.
Okay. That the Garfield Spider-Man deals with the loss of Gwen by creating the Spider-Gwen comics.
That's all messed up. I like that.
That's messed up. But isn't Spider-Gwen where she gets bit by the spider and
I think it is,
Peter Parker dies?
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure that's the whole.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
Anna, is that right?
I think that's right.
Okay.
I've actually not read that.
I'm pretty sure that's what the idea behind Spider-Gwen was, which is a cool concept.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like the Flashpoint universe of Batman, where Bruce Wayne dies in the alley.
I would have gone with
really?
Red Sun. Where?
Oh, do you not know about Flashpoint?
No, I don't know about Flashpoint.
Oh, dude.
I would have gone with Red Sun.
Dude, read it or watch.
read them.
Yeah, read that. Yeah.
Devon, have you read Red Sun though? Speaking of like changes, okay. Red Sun is Superman, same timeline. Landing in Kansas back in like the 50s or 40s or 30s, whatever it was. But instead of Kansas, he launched from Krypton like 12 hours earlier or later, and winds up landing in the Soviet Union.
I've heard of that. I haven't read it, but I've heard
it
of
is
that
an
one.
amazing story.
I think I own both of these.
That sounds awesome, and I feel like I need to read these.
Yes,
I'm really hoping. See, I really think DC would do better movie wise if they just stuck to their alternate storylines as kind of like one shot special.
You
films.
sound like somebody who works at DC right now. And that's why they have 12 Joker movies going.
No. I'm serious. You pick like one or two, maybe do them maybe like once every 10 years, but pick these actual offshoot comics they've done where it was just a one issue comic with a what if scenario and just do it that way. Because
they've
in the Red Sun, there's Batman as a Russian.
That's amazing.
Oh, you think that's
amazing?
I love
that.
Like anyone who's listening who knows what happens in Flashpoint, wait until you see like the whole thing with Flashpoint is he goes back and saves his mom. Like Flash goes back and saves his mom, and then we're dealing with the time ripples from that. What they do with Batman in that alternate timeline is fantastic. So I definitely recommend checking that out. I'm probably going to
and Red Sun. So we have two Marvel guys saying, "Hey, if you want to read anything DC, it's Flashpoint and Red Sun. Yeah. Like, you need to go read those." Devon, read.
Okay,
I'm gonna try.
Focusing back to Spider-Man. Okay. So, what do you guys think of the style of Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yeah.
Devon, do you want to go first?
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, because I'll probably lose connection. I loved it. So I read somewhere that that Tom Holland used the Ultimate Spider-Man as his like template for this one, and I love the Ultimate Spider-Man comics, and I can really see it in this one, and that's probably why I'm drawn to like this one more than the other movies. Because I mean, I grew up with the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. That's my Spider-Man, and he mimicked that almost perfectly.
Yeah, what's different about the Ultimate Spider-Man from like original Spider-Man?
I mean, he was a little bit younger when it all started. Okay. I think he was like they like aged him back a little bit, and they definitely did that with Tom Holland, I think. And they made him mess up more, and they made the plot lines a little bit more personal to Peter than they did in the original comics, I thought. So like I think he had a closer connection to the Green Goblin when it was Norman Osborn. Like they made that a little bit more personal, and so I don't know, the whole like thing just felt a newer and fresher than the original comics did. So like at that point it was like Peter Parker, Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
A little bit stale, and like Ultimate Spider-Man kind of like refreshed everything. And that's kind of what this movie feels like for me a little bit, is that same like refresh of everything.
Okay. That's a fair perspective. What about you, Deb or Ryan?
He always does this.
Yeah, I get confused.
Okay, so my thing with this movie, like as a film, one like just like I said before, like halfway through this film, I'm watching a live action version of the '90s Spider-Man cartoon I used to watch as a kid. And that's when I really got into it. And the poster for the film of him, like they caught him sleeping in the suit in the yellow coat and everything. At first, when I saw him in the yellow coat when he was trapped, I was like, oh, okay, that looks CG a little bit because he was like flipping around. And then they show him actually walking and playing with the suit with the yellow jacket. Yeah. I'm like, that's when it hit. Like, I'm watching a live action cartoon. Like, this is perfect. And the colors in the film were great. Like, everything was spot on. Like, it was just, especially for that yellow jacket with the, I don't know why I'm obsessing over that one scene, but just the visual of him wearing the yellow coat with the Spider-Man suit on, it fit how, like, the type, he's a teenager. He's 15, he's 14, 15 years old. He's listening to his music. You know, he's got his coat on, he's got his hoodie on, he's walking around. Like, you could see the age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could just see how old that he was. And it's just everything kind of like, it was that whole thing where he went and got trapped and had to go back to DC. Like, it was that when it was like, oh, like, that's when it really hit me. Like, he's Spider-Man. Like, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, Tobey Maguire is always going to be my Spider-Man, but for the whole Marvel like thing that's going on right now, I don't see how they could have done Spider-Man a different way.
Yeah,
agreed, completely.
Like, this is my third favorite Marvel film. Right.
What are the first two?
Third.
I'm looking at Devon's reaction. That's what kind of caught me there, and like this made me stall a little
bit.
What
are your first two?
Okay, third.
I got Black Panther is like 2, and then normally like Iron Man has always been, like, for the longest time has always been my number 1, but with this movie there was some shuffling around that happened. And I was thinking about that, like, after I watched the film, like, how would I rank, like, rate my films now? My favorite Marvel film right now is Ant-Man.
Okay.
I love Paul
Interesting.
Rudd. I love Paul Rudd, and they let
doesn't?
And they let Paul Rudd play Paul Rudd halfway through the film, like halfway through Ant-Man. Paul Rudd's Paul Rudd. Yes, I love that.
I think it got even more Paul Rudd.
Oh yeah,
in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
yeah.
And then I don't even think he's playing a character in Avengers 4.
He's like, "Hey, I'm here."
That was just him showing up to filming.
Yeah. So you've got Ant-Man's number 1, Black Panther's number 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming is number 3, the first Iron Man is number 4, and you've got Infinity War is number 5.
Okay, Devin, what are your
Nice.
top 5? Putting you on the spot.
See, so I honestly don't include the crossover movies as like the same, like in the same realm as all of those things, because I think they're more like I don't think I could sit down and just watch one of the crossover movies on their own and appreciate it the same way that I did all the other ones.
It'd be weird to like. I've thought about this too. Like, if you sat down and just watched the Avengers trilogy, like,
right,
it's so weird because it ends with Thanos like turning, and then Age of Ultron ends with him being like, "Fine, I'll do it myself." And then Infinity War just picks up with him killing everyone. It's like, this makes no sense. Like,
it's like, what happened here?
Okay, so from a different perspective, I've never seen Age of Ultron. Just because I stayed away from it because everybody talked crap on it. So I didn't see the films like really like in order. I could watch Infinity War on its own. Simply, but at the same time, it's because I've also seen all the other movies. I don't need to see Age of Ultron to watch Infinity War, but I mean, it's one of those things where, to me, I do count it in just because it's Marvel, even though they're all together. But I like Devon's point of view on this because this goes to me doing a sports analogy. Like, you've got all of these independent, like kind of like focused superhero Marvel films, and they're like the individual games that are going on, and then you've got like the Avengers movies are kind of like the All-Star games.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's in the season, but it's not it's kind of like, hey, everybody just, you pick your favorite people, you throw them into one game and they play. And it's like,
that's fair.
Water polo.
But also to your point, so Devin, do you count this as a crossover with Iron Man being in it, or do you just count like the team ups?
I just count the team ups. I think Iron Man is absolutely essential to this movie.
Okay.
I think that this movie doesn't work without him in it, and I think that he just has to be there.
Yeah.
I definitely like in the same way that that Nick Fury showing up at the end of other movies doesn't count it, I think.
Okay. So that being said, what are your top 5?
Alan, I was stalling. I have no idea.
I know. That's why.
Number 1 is Guardians. Absolutely.
Okay.
Number 2 is probably Black Panther. Number
No.
We
4
lost him
is
again.
Guardians 2.
There he is.
Wait, go.
No! What number did I stop at?
3 and 4. 3 and 4.
Let me try it again. Guardians, Black Panther is number 2. Number 3 is this movie. Number 4 is Guardians 2. And number 5 is probably Iron Man 3.
Really?
That one's not super popular, that opinion, but I really liked it. I don't care about the Mandarin.
Okay, your list was spot on with mine, but I'm going to take out Guardians 2 and replace it with Doctor Strange.
Oh shit, I forgot that was a movie. That's my number 5.
No, I really do like Iron Man 3 as well, but Doctor Strange, like the visuals and the music.
Yep.
I just love it. And if we're gonna not like Infinity War is probably like number 6 if we're gonna count the crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so for me it's Guardians is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 might be Homecoming. Black Panther's number 3. Doctor Strange is number 4, and then Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
So
see, the thing is, I like Doctor Strange. It's just I'm going off of the movies that I can rewatch.
Yeah.
And that to me is like part of it. Like Doctor Strange. Like I love the Doctor Strange movie. I love and I love the storyline. It's just I can't watch it a lot.
Yeah. See, for me,
and that's one of those things.
For me, it's more which soundtrack can I listen to the most.
Well, you would
I like that.
Yeah. You would soul music.
And I love the Doctor Strange score by
it's great.
Michael Giacchino, who also did the music for Spider-Man: Homecoming. So you see how I
look
brought
at you
that back
tying that
around?
back.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
So
Oh,
what do
it
we
was
what do we think
masterful.
of the music in Homecoming?
Oh, I loved it. I loved
Yeah.
it. I didn't love
Okay,
the music.
okay.
It was
So-
Spider-Man.
So knowing you,
Yeah.
Alan, are you talking about the score or are you talking about the music that's in the movie?
All of the above.
All the above.
Oh.
All
Then
of
yeah,
the
it's all
above.
good.
Yeah.
I think the score's perfect where it needs to be. I think Spider-Man needs to be a little swelly and really dramatic, and it totally is. And then the music is, I mean, I feel like they borrowed a little bit from Guardians of the Galaxy with like the, hey, we're going to throw in Blitzkrieg Bop and stuff. But like, I thought it was good.
I mean, a little bit, but nowhere near as close as like Suicide Squad tried to.
Oh, no. That was a bit too much.
They tried so much that they actually got the director for Guardians for the sequel.
Good.
Okay, so my thing was I love the score of it,
Mhm.
especially with hearing Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, the
Like,
replacing the fanfare.
I loved that.
When they released a video
Mhm.
of him recording that before the movie came out, I lost my shit. I was like, "Oh my
yeah.
god!" I don't even care if this is only part like in the credits. This is awesome.
Yeah. Now, to the whole music thing though, like I'm more of like an actual like I'm more of like of a band, you know, rock, hip hop, whatever type music person. Like scores and stuff, I like them, but you know, it's
Yeah,
I like listening to like my bands.
Yeah.
And one thing that I liked that they stayed away from in this, and Devon touched on this, like the fact that he's a teenager and he's in high school. They could have loaded this movie up with like top 40 and you know like the 21 Pilots.
get Chad Kroger to write a song for it.
Yeah, I mean, like they could have like loaded this movie up with just like you know like pop punk and everything else. But I love that they kept it for the end.
Yeah.
I love that they kept it for the end. And to be perfectly honest, I'm not the biggest Ramones fan, even though I really like punk music.
I mean,
I'm
it
not
shows.
the biggest Ramones fan, but I love that song.
I mean, it shows
Yeah.
up twice in the movie. It's not just at the end.
I know, but still, I'm just saying. Like
They do.
the end is more of a like it stands out more at the end.
They do a good job
Yeah.
of mixing the score with an actual soundtrack.
Yeah.
And it's
Agreed.
not too like here's the soundtrack for this movie like something like the first two Spider-Mans, like those two soundtracks are very top 40.
Oh yeah.
Like but Spider-Man 2
Mhm.
like that soundtrack is one of my favorite albums of all time. Just throwing that out there.
Oh boy.
Love
Was
me
that the
some
one with
Dashboard
Hero by
Confessional.
Nickelback on it?
yeah, of course.
No,
you do.
that was one. And it wasn't actually
Oh,
Nickelback.
okay.
It was Chad Kroger featuring Josie Scott.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, the if you look at the list of acts on those soundtracks, it's pretty crazy. Like even like Spider-Man 3 had like Snow Patrol.
What?
Yeah,
Oh, I have their first album.
Snow Patrol.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like them.
yeah, but it's their album is not the one song from Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, I know.
But no, they do a good like that's very like the soundtrack featuring like all these top 40. That's very much a 90s Batman Forever type thing. Godzilla.
Broderick. Yeah.
Like I hear that I don't know that soundtrack, but I hear like it's one of the best.
What?
Like the Godzilla soundtrack.
Oh, it's amazing.
Oh really?
I have it. I'll make you a copy of it.
Okay.
And I don't care that I just recorded the fact that I'm breaking federal law.
Break
I
it twice
mean-
'cause I want it.
It's 2018. There's so many things wrong with that sentence. The last of which is you breaking the law. Like, I'm gonna burn you a copy of this CD. You might as well just put it on a mixtape for me,
Yes.
Fine, I'll do that too.
because that's the
Oh, I
best
want
way
the
to listen to
mixtape.
that soundtrack.
Hey, you
Going
know
back
what?
to cassette
You know what?
tapes.
You know what? You know what? You're just
Yes.
talking. You're talking to someone who just bought. It was the Guns N' Roses Appetite for Destruction album on cassette. They re-released it on cassette.
And you bought it on cassette?
Yeah,
What?
$5.
Do you have anything? To
Why did they
listen to on
re-release it?
cassette?
No, not yet.
Do you have
It's
a
the
cassette
fact
player?
that I could hold it in my hand, though. It was for that reason. It was $5. It was the original like artwork on it. It was an exact reprint of the original like actual box. It was the fact that I could like hold it and look at it, and I could like hear it rattle. Like that's why I bought it, not to listen to it off a cassette,
You know,
but to like hold it.
I went into Walmart today and they had a bunch of DVDs and Blu-rays with special art covers
Yeah.
that they do now, and they were all like VHS covers. Like they took the old VHS covers and put them on the DVDs.
Mm-hmm.
But there were also some new movies
Mhm.
in there that they tried to do that with, and it was kind of weird, like Power Rangers. And instead of like copying the original Power Rangers one, they did it with like the new Rangers. And it's like, this is weird.
It
but
doesn't
then
look
you
good.
have like Spaceballs,
Yeah.
and it looks exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Where were we?
But I said that I was going to burn you
soundtrack?
a copy of the Godzilla soundtrack.
That's right.
Yeah, you needed. Yeah, I need that.
the 1997 Godzilla soundtrack, which is amazing.
Yes,
Yeah.
It is.
It's Titopolis.
that's the whole soundtrack. It's just Matthew Broderick going,
It's Titopolis.
I don't hate on
and if
that
it's
movie.
not, I'm gonna be mad.
That is
What?
That movie is in my like permanent rotation list of movies that I watch routinely.
If only there was a
Wow.
Godzilla sequel coming out next year where we could talk about that Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I know.
Oh wait,
Ooh.
there is.
Oh, look how that works out. Oh, look at that.
Look at me planning
So good.
ahead.
Yeah.
Proud
So,
of you.
but yeah, no, with him listening to his music and listening to
Mhm.
his like to his phone or MP3 player, whatever that he had on him, like they could have, like I said, they could have loaded this movie up with songs just like they did with like the '90s movies, but they didn't, and I like the fact that
Yeah.
they stayed away from that. Like they could
Yeah.
have had him just like poking around that room that he was locked in, listening to his headphones, and like playing the music that he was playing into his earbuds. But
Yeah.
they didn't do it, and I love the fact
Yeah.
that they didn't.
Yeah,
do
you get
that.
the sense that the music that he does listen to is stuff that Aunt May and Uncle Ben listen to, and
Yeah.
that's what he's used to.
well,
Because
I mean,
like the Ramones, like that seems
but-
like something that Aunt May might listen to.
at the same time, though, he is 14, 15 years old, so I mean,
Yeah.
he's not going to be listening to exactly what Aunt May
Yeah,
and
well,
Uncle Ben
still,
listen
like
to.
he might like Ramones seems like something like Blitzkrieg Pop seems like something that somebody his
This
age would listen
this Aunt May
Mhm.
would not be surprised if she was a huge Ramones fan.
Yeah.
Would not
Oh
be
no,
surprised.
not at all.
Especially when she was like, I used to sneak out at night too. Like,
yeah, you
yeah,
did.
Aunt May's a slut.
to.
Aunt May's a
Whoa, 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 whoa!
Oh, she is a sweet lady.
It was a joke, people. It was a joke.
I love
I
that
got
they
offended.
they kept the thread of Tony Stark trying to hit on Aunt May
Yes.
going in this
Yes.
movie. He's like,
Yes.
hey May, what are you wearing? Hopefully something skippy. Like I love that that's the only joke they make about it.
Yeah.
But that was one of my favorite recurring jokes in Civil War
Mhm.
too. I really like what they did with Aunt May in this.
Mhm.
I really
Yeah,
liked
I did
Marissa
too.
Tomei.
Yeah.
And how Peter's kind of really protective of her. Like she's
Yeah.
been
Yeah.
like they do a good job of dancing around the Uncle Ben thing, but you know what happened. Like
Yeah.
everyone knows what happened.
Yeah.
He died. I wouldn't be surprised if he died in like the Battle of New York though.
Oh,
That would
cool.
be a good change up.
Yeah.
That would be a really good change up, especially for this timeline.
Yeah, because it would make
Agree.
like if he was trying to save people, like it would make sense.
Mhm.
And,
It gives
like,
it more of a reason. Yeah.
Or it could be that, ooh, I like this even better. You could still have the same setup that Peter needs Uncle Ben to pick him up, or, like he was supposed to be somewhere and he wasn't because he's discovering his powers or whatever. And then the Battle of New York happened.
Mm-hmm.
And if Peter would have shown up on time, they would have been back at their apartment.
At the same
but
time.
no, part of a skyscraper fell on them.
at the same time.
And then
Because you would still have the guilt there. You would still
Yeah.
have that guilt. That
and then he
because was
spent a
off doing
year
something
drawing
he shouldn't.
Spider Uncle Ben instead of Spider Gwen, and that's how he deals with it.
Spider Ben.
The way
Spider Ben.
I hope they do address the Uncle Ben thing, but I hope they do it in a smart way. Like the way I would bring Uncle Ben into the fold with this is like maybe not have him
Bryce.
die in the Battle of New York,
Okay.
but maybe have I don't know how caught up you guys are on the Netflix stuff, but maybe have
not really.
something to do with Wilson Fisk. Like maybe have him be responsible in a way.
That would
that
be
way
pretty
you can get
cool.
Vincent D'Onofrio in as Kingpin because he's the best character the MCU has going for it right now, even though they just got canceled off of Netflix. Like, I
Aw.
really want them to bring him into the fold of the Spider-Man movies. Like, I want that
Yeah.
to happen. And they're saying that the Daredevil characters aren't gone. Like, they're going to do something with them. And I think that's the best way to do it. Like, fold them into Spider-Man.
I think that would be amazing. That would make so much sense.
That would be cool. But can we address something about the whole Netflix thing real quick? That I don't think Netflix had a choice.
Oh, I don't think they did either.
In that. I just want to make that apparent because I've seen so much crap online about people like threatening to cancel their Netflix subscription on this whole thing. Mm-hmm. But granted, I mean, people can do what they want with, paying for Netflix. But at the same time, like I feel like there's a lot of misdirected anger about the whole thing about Netflix canceling.
Part of the problem is Marvel Studios and Marvel Television do not get along. So
and it's apparent
with Disney,
it's apparent
with
in
Disney
what they do.
Plus coming out next year. They have about 3 to 5 different shows coming out that are all produced by Marvel Studios.
Yeah.
So Kevin Feige and his crew are like really involved with the Scarlet Witch show, which nobody wants, and the Vision show, which nobody wants, and the Loki show that the internet wants.
Yeah.
And the Bucky Barnes and Sam Wilson show. What? Yeah, that's a thing.
Is that a show?
That's a show. Yeah.
What?
So
who's coming up with this?
Yeah, it's going to be the Odd Couple with they're just going to be fighting over the shield. Like figuring out
so much wacky hijinks.
So like it makes sense that they're trying to get away from the I'm ignoring that joke because you're not on a microphone. So
I liked it. I heard it.
It was good for you. So I don't know what's going to happen with those characters. I didn't see the last season of Iron Fist. Luke Cage kind of left me wanting more at the end of their second season. Wasn't as great as I wanted it to be. But Daredevil season 3 was fucking fantastic. Like I loved that season. So I know they're going to bring him back somehow. I hope they don't recast because they did a great job casting at least Daredevil. Even everyone else was good. It's just some of the writing wasn't fantastic.
Oh, got it.
Anything else on Spider-Man Homecoming?
It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
Good.
That's it. Like it was just it really blew me away.
Devin, anything else?
I loved all the little nods to the other characters that flesh out the universe. So like the dude that they were selling the weapons to on the ferry was eventually Scorpion.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that Donald Glover is Miles Morales' uncle. I thought that was really cool. And like they could work him in maybe. I don't know. Like as a comic book nerd, because I mean I know like most of my input this episode's been like, well, in the comics, they did this. It's because that's what I loved growing up. So like I just loved they kept like nodding. Like even Liz ends up marrying Harry in the comics.
Oh really?
I think that's really cool. Yeah. Like I thought I loved the inclusion of a Liz character in this. So I mean it kind of like checked all of my Spider-Man check boxes, honestly.
Yeah, and I also like the inclusion of Shocker. Like they have 2 different Shockers in it.
Yes.
Yeah. And he even has the yellow quilted jacket sleeves at one point.
Yeah, just like because that was what he wanted to wear that day. Yeah. I loved it.
So I'm curious to see how they do that in the sequel that comes out next year. Like
are they setting up? Are they setting up Sinister Six-ish?
From the sound of it, no, not for this one at least.
I got a little excited.
I don't know what's going to happen with Spider-Man because I kind of hoped Venom would flop. So Sony was just like, okay, here, take him. We don't want him anymore.
Yeah.
But no, Venom had to be a hit. So they're like, haha, give him back. He's ours. We can do this. So
you can blame me. I saw it twice. It's my fault.
It's entirely your fault.
Actually, no. The movie grossed more overseas than it did here.
Yeah.
And that's where it was a hit.
I mean, Sony can make all the money they want. Just let Marvel Studios do the creative stuff. Like that's fine.
Yes.
I don't think Disney's going to lose that much money just letting them have the Spider-Man characters. Just let Marvel write the stuff.
Agreed.
But no, Far From Home, which is the sequel to Homecoming, comes out 2 months after Avengers Endgame, and it takes place like right after Endgame. Like Endgame ends, and then Spider-Man Far From Home picks up.
Isn't Captain Marvel coming out like 2 months before Avengers too?
Avengers comes out April 24th, and Captain Marvel comes out in March. So it's like a month.
That's so much Marvel. Oh, it's gonna be the best year.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
And then that's it. Like those are the three
and
movies.
This is why it seems like this movie came out so long ago. Is
Yeah.
Because what? Because
right.
it was like
so
Black
much.
Panther came out what? Like,
Black Panther was in February this year.
Yeah. And then
wow.
Infinity War, and then Ant-Man and the Wasp. But even 2017 had Guardians 2, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and Thor: Ragnarok.
And that's why
Yeah.
it seems like it's
just going to get
forever.
worse. Like they have
Oh, yeah.
20 movies planned out after Aftermath.
Holy
And the
cow.
only one we know about for sure is Spider-Man: Far From Home and a Black Panther sequel. And that's only because they've announced people have signed on to write and direct stuff. Everything else is a mystery.
That's crazy.
But
I hope
if you're
it's still
giving everyone
good.
TV shows, I don't know what the hell they're going to do for movies.
Right.
I think I even heard something about Rocket and Groot getting a show, which I don't want to see. Keep them in the movies.
I don't know. Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. So these shows, it's supposed to be for the Disney streaming.
Yeah.
Okay. They're probably for kids.
I don't know, man.
I don't know how you can make a Bucky Barnes show for kids.
Okay, maybe not Bucky
Yeah.
Barnes, but I'm talking about like the Rocket in like Groot. Like that would be for
They
kids.
have that on Disney Channel already, and it's a cartoon.
Oh, do
I don't
they?
see why you need anything else.
I'm just saying because they're going to be making money off of this. Because here's the thing: a lot of people are not buying cable anymore. They're going to these streaming apps.
Yeah.
So okay,
Guilty.
you have the cartoon
Yeah.
cable, but then you have a lot of new age parents that not new age, but just like new parents that are millennials that they don't buy, they don't want cable. So the streaming service is what they're going to be, using.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting to see what they're going to do if all these characters, like, if presumably Steve Rogers is no longer in these movies, and the mantle of Captain America is passed on to Sam Wilson or Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
Why is that a TV show and not a movie?
I think this kind of gets into what I've been kind of like thinking about. I mean, I want to kind of say concerned, but I'm not really concerned about it. Is like, okay, so you've got these characters that are established by the actors of who they are.
Yeah.
Tony Stark as Iron Man is Junior.
Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. I'm
RDJ.
not good
There you
with
go.
actors' names. And then you've got the actor who plays Captain America.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans. Okay, so you've got these actors who are now synonymous, like who are now who their characters are. Like
Right.
for I like when Robert Downey Jr. eventually gets older and turns into Stan Lee and passes away, like people are going to like remember him as Iron Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that's the thing. And to be honest, it's going to be a lot and it's going to happen to a lot of the actors that are playing these characters. So when eventually they get they get too old to play the character anymore, Disney has a choice. Either they're going to have to end using the character or kind of revamp it a little bit and hand it off to somebody else.
Yeah.
I can see Tony Stark's character handing off Iron Man to somebody else.
Yeah.
They could do the Iron Man who's paralyzed from the waist down and the suit is what helps him walk.
I mean, they already
Because
did that.
I know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Like they could always bring that up. But for people like Captain America and some other characters, it's like when that actor's done, what are they going to do?
Oh, no. Well, Captain America, like Falcon becomes Captain America. Winter Soldier becomes Captain America in the comics.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so perfect.
that's why I'm saying, like,
Yeah.
if you're giving those two guys a TV show, what,
Yeah.
like, where, like, do you just end the Captain America franchise there? Like, I'm guessing
or do
that
you do the alternate universe thing where the show is
God, I
something
hope
completely
not.
different?
I really hope.
Yeah.
not.
I don't know if I'd love the alternate universe thing.
Like-
I think it'd be too weird.
Like I already know that Loki's coming back in Aftermath because he's getting a fucking show.
I don't
I
love that at all.
I don't like that. Like, let him die.
Or is it
right.
or is it Loki, his story prior to all this happening?
I mean, his story prior to all this happening was he wanted he wanted the throne of Asgard. Like, yeah, but that's before he turns evil, though. Like, it's like he's evil, but he's not.
Yeah.
Like,
But see, the
I
thing
want
is,
I want a show of.
and to be honest, this is why I was never interested in the Marvel shows.
Yeah. I want a
This
show.
is why I was never interested in them.
I want a show of Anthony Hopkins just hamming it up as Loki, as Odin. Like that's the show I want.
Done.
Who knows? That might be what it
Matt
is.
Damon playing.
I don't think that's what it is.
You never know, though.
We
don't know.
I mean, that's true, but I don't know. I would watch it.
I don't know. If you get any of these shows with like some of the talent behind the movies, like if Taika Waititi is like executive producing a Grandmaster show, and sign me up. Like I am all there. Like the fact that Taika Waititi is even just directing one episode of the Mandarin, the Mandalorian for the Star Wars show. That's executive produced and showrun by Jon Favreau. Like, just sign me up.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, we went an hour and a half without talking about Happy Hogan.
I know.
He's the best part of this.
Oh my
movie.
God, we didn't.
Happy Hogan makes me so happy in this movie. Like, I just every time he shows up, like he has such the best lines. Like that was a very serious conversation. Like. I don't take this lightly. It was really hard for me to talk to you. like every time he just cracked me up. Like Ned.
I have to admit, like I was very happy to see him in this.
Yeah.
Like that was the comic relief that I liked.
Yeah.
At the start of the film.
Too much.
It wasn't, not with his friend, but with Happy. Like I would have much rather had Happy in it a little bit more.
Yeah. I think he was in it just the perfect amount of time.
Well, I like Happy. That's the thing.
You think
like,
more?
I really like him, so I could take him.
Okay,
I could take him a little bit more.
Yeah,
I'm gonna drop some news on you guys about Happy Hogan.
What's up?
So Comic-Con, Brazil's Comic-Con experience is going on this week. Brazil.
Okay, just want to make sure I heard you right.
They had a panel for Spider-Man: Far From Home, and they screened the trailer. And the opening shot of the trailer is Happy Hogan hitting on Aunt May.
Yes.
So
I love that.
So I'm looking forward to that coming out soon. I'm going to be surprised if that dropped this week. I don't know. I've said it before.
You know what should happen? Aunt May should reciprocate.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Aunt May should. That should be like the comic relief little twerk that Peter has to deal with. Is that Aunt May is dating Happy, so then he has to deal with the thought that Happy might be his stepdad, step uncle, whatever.
I kind of love that though.
For him, it's the same thing. For Peter, that's pretty much the same thing. But still, that would be perfect because Aunt May has like turned away all of these good-looking guys who have been hitting on her throughout like the movies as she's been in, and it would be perfect for Happy to be the one.
Do you not think Happy's good looking?
I think Happy's good looking.
Doesn't fit the mold of the other guys that have been hitting on her. That's what I'm saying. Like Happy's not Tony Stark.
Okay, I've got two.
I don't care.
I've got two more bits of trivia before we go. So, the Suit Lady or Karen is voiced by Jennifer Connelly.
I didn't know that.
Really?
Yes, which is a fun tidbit because her husband is Paul Bettany, who played Jarvis. So they both got to do the voice.
Oh, I love that.
Isn't that amazing? And another fun fact, the screenwriters of this movie are also the screenwriters for my pick of my favorite film of the year. So I look forward to making you guys watch that for the end of the year.
Okay.
Game Night. They both wrote, the screenwriters for this wrote Game Night.
Oh, okay.
Really?
So, yeah. So.
Huh. Well, shoot. I'm excited.
Hopefully that gets you a little bit more interested in Game Night. So
it does. It totally does.
That's all I've got for Spider-Man: Homecoming. Anything else,
Yeah,
Ryan?
that's me too.
Okay. So when a boat splits in half.
Okay.
Okay. And it gets,
all right. Here we go.
And it gets pushed back together. It's still cut in half.
Yeah.
I don't care what force is being put on either end. It's going to fucking sink.
I'm going to add the Cinema Sins Sin Dinger right here. Welcome to the Sincast.
I'm sorry, but that's how, okay, so I know that I swore, and I apologize for the podcast on that, but still, it's cut in half. Long ways.
Yeah.
I like that this is your problem with it.
I get
like a hot dog bun.
like a hot dog
Like
bun.
a hot dog.
I get that the whole, like Spider-Man stopping a subway train before it flies off a bridge. Like, okay, you've got to stretch believability for these films. I get that. But it's cut in half.
I think
it's a boat.
The whole
and
thing
you get
is
rockets on either side trying to hold it together. And I get that it's like Marvel and it's superheroes, and I can, like push belief for these films. I can. But they show the water like shooting up for no reason. Like there's no pressure shooting the water up in the middle of the boat. But they get it pushed back together, and Iron Man uses like metal like twist ties to like keep the thing together. Those things weigh like hundreds of tons.
Yeah. Well, I think the boat's still sinking. I think it's just staying afloat long enough for people, because you look like the Coast Guard and everyone is there like trying to get the people off the boat. So I don't think the boat's going to stay up for much longer.
Yeah, I know, but the water stopped shooting up. Like, okay,
I think that was just a
is,
burst pipe.
Burst pipe. That was the river going. That was the Hudson defying gravity. I just had to bring that up. I'm sorry.
All right. So for you
I'm
have
proud
to
of
watch
you.
this
That was
podcast,
good.
I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And we'll see you next week. Seriously, the boat? What the?